Today is June 13th, 2018, and this is the first episode, episode 0, of the Damian Blue Show. And in a segment we are going to be calling Comic Book and King of Pop Talk. So in this episode, what I'm going to talk about is what the show is, and then we're going to get into a book and do what we normally do, just talk about it. Before we get started though, I just want to say the whole point of the show is to kind of have those moments where if you remember a time when you got maybe a cool comic book or a cool book or even a movie or a toy or something that you just wanted to show somebody and let them see it and talk about it. That's what this show is about. That's the spirit and heart and core of the show. Some of the people that you're looking at, some of the characters, and obviously Michael Jackson, are going to be some of the big focal points of the show. So if you're a fan of any of the people you're looking at there, you know, that's a good thing. So anyways, let's dive into this here. For the first episode, we are going to be talking about this book here. It is King of Pop, The Story of Michael Jackson by Terry Collins and illustrated by Michael Byers. Also, if you see a cat roam around this video, that'd be my cat Miles. Okay. Anyways, let's get into this book. We'll dive in here, okay? So here's the cover of the book. What I love about this story is that it is very succinct. It's great for like kids to read if they want an introduction into Michael Jackson. I'd say the art's about, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. The art isn't the greatest, but that's not the point of the book. The book is just, it does a lot, and you'll see when we get into it. So here we go. This book's fun. Okay, so here's the opening page. This is a cool illustration, Okay, so right here, this says that the book was published in 2012. This is a first edition copy. Here's the table of contents, okay? And the chapters go by really quick. So if you look, chapter 1 is, Tall Man in the Mirror, and it's on 4. Chapter 2 is like page 6. So the chapters here go pretty quick. There were a lot of storybooks and books published after Michael Jackson passed away, but this one is a favorite of mine just because it doesn't focus so much on scandal and sensationalism. Instead, it focuses on a good overview. Okay, so I mean, that's one of the reasons. So it opens June 24th, 2009, 7 p.m. Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. And you see Michael's rehearsing. And see, what's cool about the book is it goes from a narrator right here. At practice is the artist who recorded Thriller in 1982. But later in the book, it'll switch to Michael's perspective, which is really cool. Or this version of Michael. So, he's performing Man in the Mirror. Okay. So there's Kenny Ortega. Slow down and save some moves for the paying customers. What do you have left to prove? Michael's response. Everything, Kenny. I have to show my fans I've still got what it takes. Okay? If there's one thing I've learned in the music business, it's that you never stop moving. I've never slowed down, not since I was a boy. And see, he's wiping his face because he's tired, but look, great segue into Jackson 5 stuff. And here's what I was talking about. See, it says, I started touring with my brothers as the Jackson 5 when I was just a little kid. Okay? If you've watched my channel before I started doing this show a few years back, I reviewed a comic called Neverland, the story of Michael Jackson. And while the art was incredible, the story was really sensationalized and not nearly as succinct as this one. I give this one the gold star compared to that, just because this one, the story is succinct and there's no sensationalism in it. Okay, so here's Michael's narrative. Our father didn't treat us like sons. He was our manager. He pushed us hard. We didn't call him Daddy. He made us call him Joseph. So there's the boys performing ABC. Once we signed with Motown Records, things moved even faster. By the time I was 12, we had the #1 song in the country. Step back, and if you weren't alive during that time, just imagine what that would be like to be 12 years old and to have that happen. That's like younger than Justin Bieber, okay? Okay, so now here's Kenny Ortega. I remember you knocked the Beatles off the top of the charts with ABC. So this is a really great introduction, okay? Really a lot of neat stuff here. So here's talking about the Wiz, okay? And you get the sense that a lot of these quotes are direct quotes from Michael Jackson himself. Talking about the Wiz, I loved it. I was the Scarecrow from the time the makeup was put on until the time it came off. And this art is really cool of Michael as the Scarecrow, okay? However, the Wiz was a major flop. I figured Joseph would never let me hear the end of my failure, okay? So, here you go. But surprisingly, when my brothers picked on me about the Wiz, Joseph stuck up for me. You don't criticize your brother. At least he tried. How many movies have you made, Big Shot? Flop or not, while working on the movie, I was ready to start making my own decisions without answering to someone else. Okay? I wanted control of my music. So, right here we already get a sense that what's to come. Here's Off the Wall, okay? Working with Quincy Jones. I met Quincy Jones while recording songs for The Wiz. He was the perfect music producer for me. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but I don't want to make another Jackson's album. This right here is a quote Michael said. So again, this book does circles around any of the other comic adaptions I've seen, and there's been a few. I think it's called Blue Mountain. They did a really good adaptation of Michael's life, but it's really long and it's in black and white. This one, a lot more succinct. You can read it in probably 10 minutes, and it's in color. Okay, so now, Chapter 4, Thriller. When I perform, I feel like I'm giving a whole lot, but for nothing. I like to capture things and hold them and share them with the world. So again, it's all about reflecting from that literally last days of Michael's life. Here's rehearsing This Is It, Thriller. Okay. And what's neat about this book again is Michael's going through it and he's talking about all his hit songs, reflecting, but you're seeing visuals from This Is It, the rehearsal. Okay, so here's a recollection of Motown 25. Okay, very cool. Talking to Kenny again. And this is again is a quote from Motown 25 right here. Okay, this if you look it up on YouTube, you can actually see Michael saying this. So that's really cool. Okay. So, again, just really cool stuff to have. Talking about We Are the World. It's really cool to have all this stuff collected here. Okay, so here's something interesting. But fame is a fickle monster. It brings both positive and negative. In fact, let's go back. Okay, here. Here we go, right here. Okay, so, glad all you could make it. I want you to think of this song as a love song that to inspire concern about a faraway place close to home. Look at this. This is actually the cover for We Are the World done. I knocked the art a little bit earlier, but if you look, this is really pretty good. I'm going to retract that. Again, just another reason this is a great book to have if you're a Michael Jackson fan, or if you just want a comic on Michael Jackson for whatever reason. Okay. Well, let's get back to what we were looking at, because that was interesting. Here it is. But fame is a fickle monster. It brings both positive and negative attention. And so you get a sample of all these tabloids, and I love the way the rendition is kind of just showing them all splashed across these 2 pages here. Imagine that being your life. Like, imagine walking to a grocery store and seeing stuff like this printed about you. Eccentric or not, you're still a person, you know? Okay. Everything Michael did was news, from the transformation of his estate Neverland Ranch into a private amusement park and a petting zoo. So here's Captain EO, to his new tough guy image for the 1987 album Bad. However, even the tabloid newspapers were surprised when Michael married the daughter of Elvis Presley in 1994. 2 years later, his marriage to Lisa Marie Presley ended. This talks about Debbie Rowe and his kids. Here's a direct quote that Michael said at the time. He didn't want his kids to grow up in a fishbowl. And, you know, the Staples Center, June 24, 2009. So here we are, guys. Wrapping it up. And it really does kind of a blow-by-blow if you're reading the pages. If you're not, it just says, you know, he arrived at his rented mansion late at night. Okay. And then it says here, suffering from chronic insomnia and exhausted, Michael struggled to sleep. The long night was restless and led into the dawn. Once he finally fell asleep, the King of Pop never awakened. Michael Jackson died on Thursday, June 25th, 2009. Upon the news of his death, the world mourned. I love the ending of this book because it's really, if you look at Michael's life, it is a tragedy in some ways, but I love the perspective this book offers. So here we go. I'm just going to read the last page to you and show it to you as I read it to you because I think it's really powerful. Who can measure the impact of one man's life upon the world? A shrine made by Michael's fans at his boyhood home in Gary, Indiana. And then this says Jackson's memorial service, July 7, 2009. Will he be best remembered for his singing, his dancing, his music videos, his charity work? Considering his problems with his father Joseph, maybe Michael would want to be remembered as a loving father. Michael Jackson was many things to many people. He was an artist, a dreamer, a father, a brother, and an inspiration. There's Paris's quote. I just want to say that ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. I just want to say that I love him so much. This was a really touching moment from the public memorial, and I'm really glad they included it in the book. There's his brothers carrying the casket. Here's the last line, guys, and this will make you weep, I think, a little, or at least give you goosebumps. It really shook me up. It says, and in his heart, he was still a little boy who never grew up, and the world is all the richer for it. Okay? So there you have it, guys. And then they have a nice little afterword here. So, you know, this just talks about Michael Jackson, the person. This is the only real photo of Michael in the whole thing for Motown 25. And this just kind of sums up Michael's life and his legacy in a nice little 2-page thing. So that's the book, guys. And here's a neat little glossary in case you were curious about some of the words. It's really great for a kid to read. There's even an index, okay? And this company does other biographies about other people. So Barack Obama, Houdini, Jay-Z, Elvis. You know, so I definitely recommend this book. I think it's great. While I've seen better art of Michael Jackson, I do admire the effort. I think it's good. And I think the book as a whole is really worth having. So it's by American Graphic. And it's a great book for kids. It's a great book for fans of Michael Jackson or comics, and it's age appropriate. And I thought this was the perfect way to kick off our first episode, episode 0, because when we come back for the official episode 1, we'll be going in a different direction. But since Michael Jackson will be a topic on the show, I wanted to kick it off with this. And today being June 13th, the anniversary, because back in 2005 on this day was when Michael Jackson was acquitted. And the other reason I wanted to do this today is because the next episodes that deal with Michael Jackson, I'm going to deal with the 1993 scandal and the 2005 trial, just because even though Michael Jackson was acquitted and he was never charged in 93 and he was acquitted in 2005, there's still a lot of mystery there and a lot of doubt and a lot of confusion. And so I want to address the elephant in the room. There's a lot of stuff, especially fans in America don't know, that really show a picture of Michael Jackson that the media doesn't like to show because it doesn't sell as many papers if Michael Jackson is kind of a normal, boring guy. And maybe he's not a crazy pedophile lunatic. So we're going to talk about that coming up. But so if you're waiting for stuff that showcases Michael's legacy as an artist, you'll have to sit tight because I want to get through all of that stuff. That way, if someone ever wants to watch the show and say, well, what about, you know, X, Y, and Z. At least they can have something to go watch and some stuff to study. So we'll be getting to that eventually. But like I said, for episode 1, we're going from my favorite singer to one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. We're going to be diving into issue 1 of Todd McFarlane's Spawn in a really cool and unique way that I don't think I've ever seen on YouTube. So I'm real excited for you guys to see it. So come back this weekend for episode 1. I hope you enjoyed episode 0. If you haven't, go to youtube.com/influencefilms and subscribe to the channel. Okay? And I will talk to you soon. Thank you. Please leave comments below about the book. Let me know what you thought of the book. Hope you liked it. And if you're just listening, maybe this will motivate you to want to check out the book. Who knows? So that does it. This was King of Pop, The Story of Michael Jackson by Terry Collins, and illustrations by Michael Byers. So, till next time, guys.